So, currently, I'm here in Ghana, Accra, Ghana. A very beautiful day, around 90 degrees Fahrenheit. I think it's 30 degrees Celsius for you guys who know the Celsius and the conversion rate. And no, in the city of Ghana, everything is pretty controlled. There's no lions or tigers for the stereotypes out there, but I will let you know it's a very beautiful country. But just like any other African country, there is a poverty. And speaking to whether it be Ghana or other African countries, most important to how the government is undermining the people by not putting the resources to use from empirical Eastern powers and also Western powers in Europe mostly. And that is the way that the Ghanaian people are living in poverty. A great deal of the economy is because they believe that it's corruption in the government and also natural resources not being utilized effectively. Now, I'm here at my hotel today. We're just taking a day out from the hotel. This is my third day. One day was on the freaking airplane, but nonetheless, tomorrow I'm gonna give you guys some content. We're gonna go to the Cape Coast Castle, which you have seen, like the point of no return, as well as waterfalls and downtown Accra. So there's a lot of things we're going to be doing here. Right now, of course, I'm at a hotel with the beach is directly behind me. The food in Ghana is very delicious. They do have their version of jollof rice, which is funny, right? Because the only jollof rice I had before was Nigerian, and Nigerian jollof rice is freaking spicy as hell. Where there has a little bit of spice, it's not too spicy. But everything I've eaten so far in Ghana has been absolutely delicious. The fruit, the pineapple almost looks white, where our pineapple in America is kind of yellow. They have a different sweetness, but it's very, very delicious. But I really can't say anything about the food because the food has been off the rails. I'll say the temperament of the Ghanaian people is very friendly. Ghanaians are very, very friendly. They're very personable for the people I've interacted with. And essentially, they're not afraid to tell you of the state of their economy. They're not afraid to tell you the state of the government. Now, if anything public, they don't want to go live. They don't want to record anything when they speak about the government because there's been people who are essentially have been killed for speaking against the government. So they try not. They may do that in their own personal confines, but for the most people, they're very, very peaceful people. Um, very different from a lot of neighboring countries like Nigeria. We know how Nigerians can be sometimes, but Ghanaians are very peaceful, very humble, very meek. So I just want to take some time out and let you guys know about, a day in Ghana here. I'm gonna name these. I'm gonna name them different things as we are traveling around Ghana because I'm gonna be here for 2 weeks. And what I've learned so far is that, man, it's so much to cover here because speaking with one of the guys here that works at the hotel, and I said, hey, why won't Ghanaians unite and join forces and march and protest for their resources being, equally distributed and them their resources being taken away by European nations and then being resold back to Ghana? Why are you guys not fighting out against that? And some of them will say tribalism, fear of their family, because they basically were saying how one person will feed 15 people in Ghana, and if that person goes out and protests or rebels or revolts, and that person either gets incarcerated or killed, then that family is essentially going to, go hungry, and they're not willing to risk it. We also talked about religion. Christianity is the number one religion in Ghana, and it's one of the most stifling things that's holding back the people's mindset. Because I was speaking to someone who has aspirations of being a minister, and he told me, and when we broke down religion on the level that I see, when you, of course, add in white oppression and white tyranny, he said, I've never thought about it like that. And I wasn't trying to change a brother's mind. I was trying to give him insight of the reason why I believe in a God, but not the whole religious sect of, Catholicism and Christianity and, Islam and those things of that nature. So for me, it's very, very important when you go out and travel, that you talk to the people to see where their mindset at. Because when you're living in America, you live in the first world nation, you're living in the richest country in the world. Your your uh, uh, your position, the way that you look at things, is very obscure. It's very easy to speak about other countries when you're in America and you don't know the intricate parts of the people, of the social society. You don't know too much about the government, the economics, right? But there's a lot of people who speak about these things, who know about these things. So a lot of things I've been hearing from reputable people about countries like Ghana is absolutely true. I can give you some of the, I won't say bad things, but I'll say things that we don't do in America, but we do them in America. Take, for instance, we was going out to the money exchange today. Broad daylight, going down a major road. We saw a young man pull out his penis and pee right there on the side of the road. You don't see that in America unless it's New Year's Eve or something like that. You know, you may see guys peeing in the alleys, but not right there on the main road. That was crazy to me. Yesterday, when we were coming in from the airport, we saw a lady sitting down on a curb with her skirt, right on her knees, and you can see all her business. Let's just say that you can see all her business. That's not typical unless you're in a drug-infested neighborhood in America. But this again was like on a major intersection. So again, I'm not, and at no time am I putting down the country of Ghana, because again, it's a very beautiful country. The people are very beautiful, very friendly. But just like any other country, especially African country, they have a lot of systemic problems that could be addressed better. Okay, I don't know all the intricate parts because again, coming from a first world nation, looking from the lenses of America is very obscure. My vision is contaminated because you can speak life into a situation, but it's the wrong type of life. Meaning that you like, hey, you guys should unite and do this and do that. But there's so many things holding people back from uniting and revolting and rebelling and starting a revolution to live a better life. You would think, why won't you live life? It's like, well, other family members will discourage other family members from going against the government. Then other family members will say, well, you're going to unite with this other tribe. And then somebody said, well, we're all Ghanaians, right? Because you have certain tribes here. I think, I'm going to pronounce these wrong. The two tribes I know, one is called the Elwe, something like that, Elwe. And the other was called Fanta. And then you have some other tribes in the north of Ghana. But nonetheless, you trying to marry someone from a different tribe is difficult because they'll say, hey, that person's from that tribe. We don't marry that tribe. But then I also heard from one of the bartenders, like, we don't marry that tribe, but we will marry a white person. He asked me, like, hey, do you hate all white people? I said, no, it's not about that. It's that they don't understand your struggle. They don't understand where you come from. They don't understand your culture. Okay? Here's the thing. When you see people like that family, is that I want you taking, I want you to take this for instance. The president, and I'm gonna butcher his name or two, Akufo-Addo, something like that, the Ghanaian current president, he told Switzerland, no, you're not getting no more raw materials, not getting no more raw cocoa beans from Ghana, because what was Switzerland doing? They were taking the raw cocoa beans, taking them to Switzerland and saying that the cocoa beans were from Switzerland, where there was actually Ghanaian cocoa beans. He said, no, cocoa beans and chocolate would now be made in Ghana. We're going to take credit for that. He said it would not be good for the economy. So he put his foot down. But then there's some other things I heard about the president that he say, hey, he's not essentially doing what we thought he would do because of certain reasons. I'll just say that. The same thing that happened in America when people are getting their pockets lined from certain groups, then they don't really, finish their promises. They don't really do what they're supposed to do. When we look at these things, family, Africa is more than 50-something countries. And majority of the African countries have the same freaking problem. And it all derives from, it's not just one or two issues, it's a lot of variables. But with the one thing you hear, the two major things that you hear in these different African countries is the government and tribalism. And, talking to a Ghanaian for like the past 2 or 3 hours, I understand a little bit better. That is what's holding them back, family. If I had to pick two major things, no. You know what? Three major things. Three major things. The government, tribalism, and Christianity. Christianity have a lot of African country docile, and they believe they can pray away their problems. Okay, even though the word may say, you know, works without deeds is dead, or in order for you to, make it in life or strive in life or do better in life, you can pray, but you also got to go do something. But even the guy who's aspiring to be a minister, he said he'll have hungry people come to the church and they will ask for food. And of course, the churches are not doing so well. Some churches are, some churches have to give. But he said the ministers there, the pastors there, will say, hey, I'll pray for you so you won't be hungry, and then send them away. And I said, of course, I know you saw that wrong. He said, absolutely. He said, because they're still hungry. I said, but you want to be a minister, right? I don't want to get on a religion kick because I have some religious videos on my channel. But again, family, I think if you of this strong metalation, if you have African roots, even though like myself, I label myself as a foundational Black American, I think it's important to visit your homeland 500 years removed. Whether you believe that Africa is North America as well as Africa as is labeled, and we can get into names of this, that, and the other, or regions and different geographical land masses, but at the same time, Africa is totally different than America. First and foremost, and one thing that really joyed my heart getting off the plane was Black people. I saw Black people everywhere. I felt out of place but in place, meaning that I knew it wasn't America, but I felt comfortable. And again, I told you, the Ghanaian spirit, their personalities are very, very humble, very easy people. No one was really pushy. No one was really aggressive. Everybody just was cool, calm, and collective. It was almost like I was in Jamaica and everybody was smoking ganja. Like everybody was a Rastafarian and everybody just sparked up. Everybody was so cool, calm, and collected. I'm like, okay. I see the vibe here. And my wife and I and our son, we walked up from the hotel, and we just kind of walked like maybe 2 city blocks. And the people was looking at us because, of course, we stuck out like a sore thumb. But my wife wanted to be adventurous. And we walked up and people just looked, and that was pretty much it. Ain't nothing really happened. But family, if you get a chance, because I know like next year or maybe a year and a half from now, we're planning on going to Tanzania and Rwanda. And I was really thinking about, because it's just us 3, and we also have my wife's niece with us. Her mother is going to join us later. I think her mother is in Senegal. But nonetheless, I think I might sponsor a trip, meaning that I'm going to put my trip details out there and see if anybody wants to go. So you have an entire year to plan to go to Tanzania. So we're not just going to go to Tanzania. We're going to go to Tanzania and Rwanda. And we may try to fit in Botswana. But we're at least going to go to Tanzania, where the language, the major language there is Swahili. I don't know what the national language is in Rwanda, and the national language in Ghana is three, if I'm saying that correctly. Then their secondary language is English. Most Ghanaians speak English. Most of them speak about 3 languages. They speak English, they speak 3, and they speak their tribal language, okay? So, and that's what I learned just learning about Africans. Even in America, most of them speak 3 languages, If you take, for instance, Senegal, where my wife's niece mother is currently, most of them speak Wolof, depending on what tribe, Wolof, French, and English. I don't know so much about Tanzania, but I know they speak English as well, but they speak Swahili, and I'm pretty sure they have some sort of other dialects within their tribes. But family, do you notice that melanated people, for the majority, most of us live in the most beautiful places in the world, but we live in the worst conditions? I did a video quite some time ago about all the resources that Africa has. Like, Africa is by far the richest continent in the world with the poorest people. And I'm going to tell you why. European colonization and Chinese economic oppression. They get into these bloodlines with these Chinese people. Let me tell you first, very quickly, about European colonization and what it has done. Even though Ghana has received their independence, I believe in 1957, 1955, 1957, they received their independence. Europeans and Chinese men are still in the pockets of Ghanaians. Take, for instance, the recent story I gave you with the Switzerland and the cocoa beans. So what Switzerland used to do, they used to come over, get the raw extract from Ghana with the cocoa beans, take it back to Switzerland, stamp Switzerland's name on it, make, the world's best chocolate. And we're thinking, oh, Switzerland got the best chocolate. You remember how you say, certain candy bars had, chocolates from Switzerland? It's actually from Ghana. And we're like, oh man, they got the best chocolate. No, your homeland, you're 500 years removed, your homeland has the best chocolate. And what they would do was they would cultivate the chocolate and then sell it back to Ghana at double the price. And some of these governments in these African countries would allow this, where they can grow their own rice, but they're buying rice from China and buying it for double the amount that it took the Chinese to agriculture and grow it. Here's another thing. Chinese are over here building hospitals and roads and schools, but with no Ghanaians in the workforce. And of course, everybody knows where I stand on that. Okay, but if another country is going to help you guys out with machinery, technology, information, then 50% of that country's workforce needs to be Ghanaian. And if of that 50% of Ghanaians working with the Chinese to improve the country, because the Chinese are here for gold, the Chinese are here for diamonds, the Chinese are here for natural resources. It's not going to be no blood loan when you give the Ghanaian people, the Ghanaian people $15 billion and say, okay, we're going to take 3 tons of gold. So we're going to equivalent to you owing us $5 billion. Now, I don't know the total GDP of Ghana, but most countries can't pay back $5 billion in 5 years. So what does that mean? The Chinese come and say, well, we're going to take this land then. No. What you need to do is a one-for-one deal. First and foremost, you don't bring 100% of your workforce from China over here of all Chinese men. No, 50% of the workers will be Ghanaian. Then we will have Ghanaian inspectors inspect the amount of weight, the weight of the gold that you take. Does this take, for instance, for example, is 3 tons for $15 billion. And then with that, you're going to teach Ghanaians how to work some of these machines, because with that $15 billion, we're going to buy some of the machines from you wholesale so you get some of your money back. But then when the Chinese get their 3 tons of gold, you cut the umbilical cord on that particular project, because now Ghanaians know how to build clinics. Ghanaians know how to build hospitals. Ghanaians know how to improve roads and infrastructures and electricity and plumbing. That's right. If you're going to use these Asian and European countries, then that's what you need to do. You need to do a transactional deal that cuts the umbilical cord of them seeking their teeth inside your country like fucking vampires, because that's what they are. Here's another idea I thought about. What about reaching out to Black Americans who are electricians, who are plumbers, who are construction workers, and you pay for their hotel stay and they teach your people. You pay them, right? But guess what? You're having your own people teach your own people. And I don't mean like Ghanaian, but I'm talking about people with your same melanation, instead of having another group who have special and hidden interests, right? Because I know Black electricians. I know Black construction workers. I know Black plumbers. I wish I could meet the president and say, hey, listen, instead of getting these other groups that don't have the best interests of Ghana at heart, won't get some black plumbers, electricians, and construction workers. Get over here where they're going to teach your people how to work the machinery. They may even teach your people how to work the machinery. And just like any other growing nation, they need to know IT work, AI, machine learning, technology. I know people who know how to build computers from scratch. Okay, if you got to buy your parts from China, just like the Chinese did, because this is what Chinese do. Why you think you got all these iPhone clones and Samsung clones? Because the Koreans, the Japanese, the Americans, the UK, all these people go over to China and have them build their products while they'll just build their semiconductors, put the chips inside of that electronics. Guess what? You get some engineers, computer engineers, black engineers, and you say, hey, do we have the raw materials to make this equipment here? If we do, how do we go about doing this? See, the key about economy and raising your economy is trying to produce almost everything from the natural resources you have in your economy instead of outsourcing or having contracts with other countries, because that's taking money out of your country. That's taking jobs out of your country. What you want to do is you want to make your own things. Now, the American economy still baffles me today because we don't really have natural resources. We have some. We farm a lot, but we don't have other natural resources, especially like precious metals. Like they have a plethora of precious metals. They have a plethora of oil and all these other world needs. If Africa ever became United States of Africa, this will be by far not only the richest land, but it would be the most powerful. See, the problem is when you're doing these deals with the European nation, the British, the French, the Swiss, the Germans, the Russians, whoever. You got to have these people to teach your people if you're going to deal with them. Me personally, I say cut the umbilical cord and find black people in the UK, black people in America who have learned these skills and traits and bring them over to your homeland. Put the money back into black pockets, even in America, so we can invest more people to strengthen the homeland. And I'm not saying that I'm some sort of Pan-Africanist, because we know that the whole Pan-Africanist movement has essentially died because of black immigrants coming from different countries from Africa coming over inside of our politics, inside of our government, talking about, oh no, they don't deserve reparations. So that's a whole different story. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for these African countries, when you start getting into bed with people who don't look like you have to look at that deal sideways. If anything else, you have to read the fine print. You have to, because we're starting to noticing that different African countries are bringing over the Chinese, and the Chinese are now raping and stealing and doing all of these blood loans with all these different African countries. What do you think was going to happen? What do you think was going to happen between 1945 and in the early 1960s? All these European nations gave you your independence, and then they came back to try to be part of your governments, to still control. Like France is still heavily in Africa. Why? Because the only way France became powerful and rich is through the theft of the natural resources of African countries. There are still some African countries under French rule, and they're trying to eradicate. That's why you see a lot of Caribbean countries are trying to cut the umbilical cord. Is trying to get the Queen out of their sovereign state. They're trying to get other English countries out of their sovereign states, because they understand that the only way we can grow, the only way that we can increase our GDP, increase unemployment, increase employment in our countries, is to get Europeans out of our countries. That's the only way, family. That's the only way. And if you're going to do business with them, it has to be a clean, cut, and dry contract. Meaning, we're going to give you this, you're going to give us that, and that is it. I'm just at the day at the hotel, and I've just been thinking. I've been speaking to Ghanaians all morning. I speak about 3 or 4 of them. They're at the bar. There's not too many people here, but it's enough. And I've been having long conversations. You know me, I want to know, what do the people say? See, when I go to different countries, I want to talk to the people, because here I am in America on my internet reading a bunch of stuff, not knowing what's actually happening on ground. So I respect brothers and sisters who go to the continent and they see the conditions for themselves and they speak on it, okay? And a lot of these people I'm talking about, they go and tell the truth about what's happening on the African continent. They get bashed from Africans because they don't want to seem as though their countries are doing bad. No, these countries are absolutely doing bad. These countries are absolutely doing bad, because the first thing I say is, Ray, you need to do research. And research doesn't necessarily always happen in a book. You need personal experience. You need to go there to the homeland, to the motherland, go to the country that called you back and see what's going on in that country. See if things are really as nice as people say so. And here I am at the Best Western Plus. Who owns this hotel? A white person. A white person owns this hotel. And it's a nice looking hotel. They pay on it. But I'm going to tell you what Europeans do. After the European nations freed the different African countries between the year of 1945 and the early 1960s, what they said is, we're going to give you jobs. We're going to come back and we're going to build businesses and we're going to create jobs for your people. But when you start to ask, how much do they pay in taxes? How much are the wages for the workers you've given jobs? Well, it really doesn't matter, because they're going to have jobs. They're going to be living better than most of the people in their area. See, to me, that's called white economic oppression, where you're doing these blood deals simply because they build a hotel, they build a resort, they got a business there, and they're going to give your people jobs. Yeah, they decrease unemployment, but they still becoming filthy rich. They just took the money that they took the money that their ancestors passed down, and they reinvested that money right back in the country. And the tourists that come from America, the UK, and other different countries, all that money is going back where? To all those white countries. It's not staying in Ghana. And you're breaking them off a little bit in wages because you got the workers working there. Family, this is economic slavery. You have the most beautiful countries in the world. Has anybody ever been to Europe? I've been to London and Paris. And let me tell you, it's the concrete jungle, meaning they have a lot of nice artistry and castles and all of that. But nobody wants to be there. That's why they come to Africa. That's why they go to the Caribbean. Because in Europe, it's always an overcast. If you guys ever been to Washington State, that's how the whole UK is. It's an overcast. There's really no sun shining. Most of the time it's an overcast, it's dark, it's gloomy, it's cold, it's misty, it's rainy, it's foggy. You come here, you got bright skies, wind blowing in your hair, nice weather. And this is why they come here. And this is where all the resources are fresh. You know, you got fresh coconut. I'm looking at fresh coconuts right now, bananas and pineapples. The resources just grow wild in Africa. Why do you think the Europeans came over here and colonized this country? And see, I told people this. I said, how do you take over countries where everybody is melanated and you are the opposite skin tone and you're only 5% of the population, and you come over like, oh, they had guns. Okay. But you are 30 million strong against 10,000. How do you do it? Well, first they brought Christianity. Oh yeah. See, the way to control people is first control their spirit, right? You grasp and grab their spirit, which tricks their mind, and then you control their body. See, I asked these Ghanaians up in here, and I said, hey, all of them were Christian. They said, well, most Ghanaians are Christians. I say, why? Oh, we believe in Jesus, and you know the story goes, family. I said, where do you get Jesus from? What was the religion of your African ancestors prior to colonization? They didn't know. I said, what was the religion? Where did Christianity come from? They're like, Europe. And I said, does that make sense that when the Europeans came here to colonize you and rip you from your land and steal your resources and put it back in Europe, that they would give you a true religion and tell you to follow that, and then coerce, trick, manipulate, sell, capture, okay, melanated people and send them off to different lands like Brazil and America. And then when they were there, they gave them Christianity too. Why do you think that in Brazil, the statue of Jesus is like this? Remember, I was in Brazil. I showed you guys that. That's why I went to Brazil, because the majority of the slaves that left Africa went to Brazil. About 5 million of them. So, family, when I look at this, this is all by design. And I know a lot of you are Christians. I got it. But how did you get your Christianity? You was indoctrinated with your Christianity. I'm not telling you don't believe, because do I believe there's a God? Yes, I do. But when you look at the root of it all, when you believe the root of it all, and some people are like, oh, well, you know, Christianity is from Africa and da-da-da-da. I don't want to get into the Christian. I like to sit down and really gather my thoughts. I'm out here in the wind enjoying myself. That's another story. But what I realize is when you capture someone's spirit, which helps coerce and trick their mind, you have their body told intact, full stop, you control them. And when you tell them when things get rough and you feel like this, go ahead and pray. And I asked him, I said, brother, I'm not trying to undermine you. I'm not trying to speak ill will about your belief system, but what has prayer gotten Ghana? What has prayer gotten Ghana? It makes you very docile. It makes you very passive. Because if your government is Christian and you're a Christian, you essentially don't want to fight against your government. See, you have to throw religion out the window. I'm not saying throwing your beliefs out the window, but for empowerment, for revolution, for revolting, you have to throw religion out, because religion will keep you docile. It wants to keep things peaceful. And anytime you have any sort of rebel or revolution, guess what you got to have? People are going to die. People need to be sacrificed. In order for you to be freed from white tyranny and oppression, and in order for you to be free from Asian economic slavery, not only do you have to free your mind, you have to be willing to die for what you believe in.